Dude, I'm fired up.
Let's do it.
Thanks for coming here.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Big time.
Thanks for having me out here.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: where'd you come from?
Just now or originally?
Just now.
Just now. Came from Waterboy HQ.
Where's that?
Out on the east side of Austin, Texas.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Waterboy HQ. And what's it like if someone were to go inside there? What can one expect?
You got to set your expectations, set the bar a little bit low. But we've been in there about 5 months, and every day we've been talking about trying to build stuff out and get furniture and everything, but it's hasn't really changed much. So it's just kind of what you need. Yeah. Very bare bones, big giant warehouse space basically. But it's a cool, very creative environment.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And that's because y'all have ingredients.
Not there. Not there. No.
But it's a warehouse.
It is. It's like 25-foot ceilings. Technically, it's not a warehouse, but it has that vibe to it. Industrial. That's the right word.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you live close to that or no?
I do. I live less than a minute away, actually.
And it's on the east side?
East side.
Whoa. Yeah. Okay. For the listeners that don't know where the east side is, it's directly east of downtown Austin, Texas. Yeah. On the other side.
It's a good spot. Very up and coming.
It's super.
I mean, you're the real estate guy here. I'm sure. Yeah. What do you think about the east side?
It's one of my top 3 places. Yeah. Yeah. Terrytown, the east side, and I would probably say like Zilker.
Okay.
Yeah. Top 3
neighborhoods. I'd agree with that for sure.
So bringing it back to not just where you came from today, where'd you come from birth?
So I'm from Birmingham, Michigan originally. What? Actually, it's a long ways away from Texas, but when I grew up, I was the youngest of 4 kids. Just wanted to go to school, go to college somewhere warm. Just wanted to get away from the cold weather, and ended up going to SMU for college in Dallas.
What'd you do there?
So I studied finance, and I also swam on the swim team for about 1.5 years, 2 years. But yeah, mostly went down there for the finance component, the warm weather. But I love Dallas. It's just like a great big city. In hindsight now, Dallas doesn't really fit my personality and what I like to do. But I think at the time, with what I thought I wanted to do, it fit very well with the finance background and business and all of that stuff. I just thought it was a really great place to be in. It ended up working out for me at the time, being down there and going to school there.
Yeah, Dallas, I would say, has more of a polished feel to it.
For sure. Right? For sure.
Or at least one would, perhaps the locals would want you to think that, at least.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, we won't get too far down that road. Yeah, and you were there for a little while, it seems like, a couple of years at least, and what happened next?
So went to school there. After my junior year, I interned at Goldman Sachs in their special situations group. It was essentially, I mean, a lot of people, when they think of Goldman, they think of investment banking, but there's kind of this secretive group where we would actually invest Goldman's money into private companies. You don't really hear about it a lot of times because it's, kind of like skirts on the regulatory lines a little bit. Fair enough. But it was a really cool group to be in, and I was very lucky because they hired kids from SMU in Dallas, and then everyone else they hired was from Harvard, Penn, all these Ivy League schools. So it was very cool to have that opportunity to work with all these like really bright, smart people. And after I interned there, got the full-time return offer. So did that for about 1.5 years, maybe up to 2 years. It was definitely less than 2 years, but I think I reached a point, and going through SMU, my thought was always, I need to work in finance. I need to do investment banking. And part of that was from things that I thought I had to do from family members doing it and just what was really pushed at SMU. And I think I got into that role and was just so unsatisfied with what I was doing and almost was like depressed walking into work every day to the point where it was just so hard to wake up, and just ended up being super unproductive at work because I was just so frustrated with everything, Yeah. And I remember reading books at times and it was like, you got to like put in the work at certain jobs and it's tough, whatever. Right. And then like it leads you to a better place and all that. And I agree with that stuff to a certain extent. But then I read this one book. It was called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Yeah. And it honestly just really changed my perspective. And I was like, you know what? Why am I getting frustrated or upset with this stuff? At the end of the day, what I'm doing right this second isn't going to make that big of an impact in my life 20 years from now. I think to a certain extent it does, but I have the opportunity to change my attitude towards it and also change my trajectory on life and figure out what I want to do. And so my thought was always, if I don't enjoy what I'm doing, I was 23, 24 at the time, just like, screw it. I have such a good opportunity at this stage in my life to go figure out what I want to do without really anything holding me back. And so I just walked into work one day, and there were certain things that kind of led me to this breaking point. But I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I said that to my boss. I was like, I need to quit. And he was like pretty upset in the moment. But I think things really started working out for me when I feel like I kind of took back my life a little bit and did what I wanted to do versus what I thought I was supposed to do, if that makes sense. And there's a lot more that went into the behind the scenes of like leading up to quitting. But I think to sum it up, it was just like very frustrated, figured out that, hey, I don't see myself in this job 5 years from now. And maybe sticking around here longer will help me get to somewhere that I want to go. But I just didn't see the value in that at the time and figured, hey, if I want to start a business, if I want to do my own thing, I just should go for it now and try and figure it out. I think that's a much better learning experience than sitting at this desk and being frustrated for the next 2-3 years.
And when you decided to make that switch and you told, let's say, your family, that you're like, I'm done with this finance stuff.
Yeah.
How'd they receive that?
That's a good question. So that's one thing that I think is tough for a lot of people when you go through that situation where you have that pressure from family, friends, other people in your life of what they want you to do. But I think for me, and I'm not saying this is the best way to go about it, but what I did is I knew I was really frustrated with the job, and I didn't necessarily have a next step of what I was going to do after. I think my thought process was, hey, I just need to leave this environment to be able to think clearly and actually figure out what I want to do and what I need to focus my attention on. I was lucky because I met some people that had opportunities for me if I were to leave to basically be more entrepreneurial and kind of like run a business that they were starting and stuff like that, which was really cool to have those opportunities.
You would have helped facilitate their endeavor and with a startup or something?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I was lucky, and those people definitely inspired me to kind of like take more control of my life and do what I wanted to do.
Can you say their names? Give them a shout out, or is that secret?
The one guy's name was Ted.
Ted?
So he lived in my apartment building.
Yeah.
And he lived in like the penthouse. He was super successful.
What's his business?
He did a lot of like fire inspection stuff, which is like, it's funny because I think a lot of times like some of the wealthiest people do the most random businesses. It's not these like flashy tech companies and all this stuff. It's like stuff that everyone needs, right?
Yeah.
But he just really inspired me to kind of like think through things differently. And I think he never went to college. He left home when he was younger than 18 and kind of did his own thing. And I think just his whole life story really inspired me. And I think he kind of took me under his wing a little bit.
Because he saw something in you.
Yeah. And I think that helped inspire me and ultimately led me to like work up the courage to quit, basically. But I think when it comes to like telling family and friends, I honestly didn't tell anybody for about 3 months.
Yeah.
So I quit right before Thanksgiving of 2019, I believe, or 2018. And I mean, this is a whole nother story, but the week after Thanksgiving, so the week after I quit, a friend nominated me to be in The Bachelor. They didn't tell me. So one thing led to another. I got that phone call.
Yeah.
And
like, what the heck?
Yeah. But I was also like, oh, well, I just quit. So this is like, what better time to potentially do this?
Yeah.
So went through that
time.
Yeah. So went through that whole process, had this kind of backup plan, or it was plan A at the time, to help this guy, Ted, run this business he was starting. And then had my boss ask me to stay working for a few more months.
Did you take the bait?
So I did stay working for a few more months. I had to get the bonus, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it worked out well because I did get chosen to be on the show. And that started filming March 12th, I believe. My last day working at Goldman was February 1st. So
Perfect.
The timing worked out really well then. And I didn't tell my family or anyone that I'd quit until I told them about the show. So I led with a bad thing, or I led with a good thing and then dropped the bad thing after.
Smokescreen.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart.
Yeah. But I do think, and it's interesting having friends who have quit jobs before or are maybe doing things that their parents don't approve. And I'm not saying my parents wouldn't have approved me quitting, but I think on the surface, at the end of the day, your parents want you to be successful. They want you to do well. And if they hear that you're quitting your job, I think on the surface, sometimes that can sound bad. It's like, well, what are you going to do? Or like, what's plan B? What's next? And a lot of times you don't have those answers. And so for me,
not a 24.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. So for me, I was like, hey, I know if I tell a lot of people about this, it's just going to stress me out. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to end up back in a job like I was just in and not enjoy it, not like what I'm doing. And it's just going to be a cycle, you know? So it was almost like I need to just take some time for myself and figure it out. And then I think when I have a more clear path on what's going to happen next in my life, I can tell people, you know?
So it seemed like you had some reprieve at that point, and you could think about what your next steps were.
For sure.
What did that process look like when you're kind of analyzing what the next move was? What did you do in that interim?
That's a good question. So one thing was I started to get really into fitness probably the last 2 years prior. And I think, so quitting the job and also knowing that, hey, maybe I'm going to get chosen to be on this show was like, I'm going to get in the best shape of my life right now. So I hired a trainer, and for 3-4 months, just every day, 7 days a week, was just super hardcore, like on top of food, on top of everything. And honestly, I think that specific like focus on fitness and health has led me into a lot of things that I've done since then. And honestly, I mean, by the way, you're a pretty big dude. I didn't know I was coming in here. Chat. Yeah. I should be asking you for some tips here. But I feel like it taught me a lot of really good life lessons too. Because I'd always been into sports and stuff, but I don't think I'd ever really pushed myself to the limits of like what I was capable of doing. And having my trainer was this lady who was a former CrossFit Games athlete. And so we would do like a combination of, it wasn't too CrossFit-y stuff, but it was a lot of like bodybuilding and like CrossFit, cardio type stuff too. And it was a lot of things that you would think are like impossible, like putting like 10 plates on a sled and putting the sled on a rubber floor, which is like virtually impossible. And she'd be like, all right, all you're doing for the next hour is just pushing this thing back and forth. It's like, how am I going to do that?
Just training your mind too.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So as much as I enjoyed the actual like physical component, I think the mental component was incredible. And I'm not saying at that time in my life I was like weak mentally, but I really think that it helped me kind of pull myself out of this area of like not knowing myself in a way. And I think I left training with her and then the show ultimately and was just like very motivated about life. And it kind of does come back to like pushing the sled. Or another thing we did was like, she gave me a 300-pound sandbag and was like, just, you're walking a mile with this thing. And it, you know, you're on like the verge of tears at some points in this, but it's just such good character building. And I think after the show, you know, just like thinking back to moments like that, I was like, I did that. I can start a business. I can, you know, go do X, Y, or Z. So it really motivated me to do a lot of stuff that I think I never would have done.
In contrast to your swimming training regimen, I mean, that's not, you know, no easy feat because you do that in college, right?
Yeah.
College swimming is intense.
It is.
Hours, right? I've never done it, but I've heard it's hours long.
Yeah.
Which helped most?
So that is an interesting point. And I think I do reflect on this sometimes. Obviously, I'm pretty tall. So I'm 6'6". And so in swimming.
You called me a big dude. How much do you weigh right now?
I weigh 230.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get those big arms like you, my guy. Yeah.
Right. We'll get there.
Yeah. Give me some tips on those. But being tall, and I was tall from like 8 years old. So I was always the tallest kid. And I think when competition was relatively easy, I would always win. But when it would come time for like the big state meet or like the final swim meet, I would always be ranked first and I would always finish like second or third. And I think the reason was because although I was good and maybe like naturally gifted with certain physical abilities of being tall, I don't think I actually pushed myself as much as I could. And so when it came time to those things, I either like broke mentally or just didn't have the physical training behind it to actually do those things. And I think even getting to college, you know, I wasn't like the best swimmer on the team by any means. And I think it was just because I'd never really pushed myself as much as I could.
You ever watch Hercules, that cartoon movie?
Yeah.
It seems like that lady was like the goat.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that trained you.
It is crazy just thinking back to her, and I think that year span of my life was very formative for me. I think like a lot of crazy stuff has happened to me since that time period, but just in like looking where I was in my life and what my trajectory was versus what I'm actually doing now, I think a lot of those building blocks were put into place in that like 6 to 12 month span of my life, whether it was from meeting Ted to getting this trainer and working out. It's just a lot of like really good life lessons and character building was done.
And where would you say that you stumbled the most along the way?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think I had that learning phase of that period where I met a lot of these people and they taught me a lot of really good life lessons. And I think for, let's say, 6 to 12 months after that, I was very motivated, very driven, kind of knew what I wanted to do.
You were in your, what do you call that? In your lane.
Yeah. It was very, very much in my lane. And honestly, I want to say it was probably when COVID was going on. Just like didn't really know what to do with my life. So I just started this gummy vitamin business. We literally launched the day that like the lockdowns started. It was like, what a time to launch a business.
Tough.
You know? Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of other people experience this too, but I just remember like sitting there like, shoot, what am I supposed to do here? And then I remember working super hard on it. And before I launched, I was like, this is going to sell out the first day. You know, I was like super pumped about it. Day one of launching, I think sold like 100 units or something. It's like, whoa, that didn't go how I thought it would. And so was like lucky to have friends and people that knew how to do Facebook ads and other things that helped me kind of build up the business more.
Anyone specific come to mind?
My buddy Spencer, he was super helpful with me. So we had an office during COVID that we would still go into work and actually work on stuff in an office. And it was just nice to be with him because he does a lot of stuff on social media with his business.
What's he do?
He owns a business called Print Your Pet. And he prints people's pets onto like coffee mugs and stuff. Actually, it's an interesting business, but it's shocking how
one of those things.
Yeah, people love it.
Like the sprinklers,
exactly.
The fire guy.
Yeah, exactly. But I think after that period, especially when I moved to Austin, I think it was probably before I met Mike. That 3 to 6 month period before I moved here, still living in Dallas, was just I wasn't super happy with the gummy vitamin business, and was kind of like, what do I want to do? You know,
gummy vitamins.
Yeah.
What kind of vitamins? Gummies.
So one was a sleep gummy.
Okay.
And then one was an apple cider vinegar gummy.
Great.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because apple cider vinegar is not tasty.
It's not, no. And that was taken off at the time too with the company called Goalie. so they were doing about $20 million a month just in apple cider vinegar gummies. It's like, okay, this is a decent market here.
Yeah. That's one company.
Yeah.
And not many others are doing it.
Yeah. But I think doing a business alone is very lonely. And I figured that out pretty quickly. And I think at the time when I started that business, there was a reason for it because I needed help sleeping. So it fit very well with my life. And I think very quickly, I just, I didn't need the product anymore. So the excitement for it kind of went away. And it just became a little more hard to be relatable to it. And then obviously COVID and like the uncertainty with how to even like sell with your business and everything, it all just got very stressful to me. And I think I almost just kind of shut down when it happened. And I think that when you get to the point of like when it was a time where you maybe strayed or were confused or whatever, that period was definitely very tough for me for a bit.
How long was the period?
I'd probably say it was about 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think I always relied back to like working out, honestly. I feel like it was always just a very safe space to almost calm down and focus on other stuff and like forget about the other worries of life. And I think that has always kind of been the case for me, which is nice.
It's a positive way to
for sure,
get that relief that you need,
definitely.
that escape.
Yeah, for sure.
Where others might turn to something negative. It's good.
Totally.
And so it was a few months. And what about that lull? What specifically about that was kind of bringing you down? Was it like a financial strain? Was it lack of success? Or what about it brought you down?
Yeah, honestly, I think it was kind of a culmination of a couple different things. I think one, it was just uncertainty of what do I want to do with my life? Because I think I had figured out, okay, this gummy vitamin business is like very cool. Really happy I started it. It wasn't doing bad. It's like I just don't really see myself doing this like 2 years from now. So that was one thing. Two, just the nature of COVID and that span of life was like I'm not seeing any, it's like no one to hang out with really. My roommate, I had 2 roommates at the time. One had gone to Indiana for like 3 months. So he was just gone. The other roommate had a girlfriend. So they would spend a lot of time together. And then I was just like, shoot, what do I do? And I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. And, wasn't really like, can't say I'm the most social person. So I wasn't like going out or whatever, nor could you really. So every day it would kind of just be like working out in the garage. And then it's like, well, shoot, what do I do now? And I think before that I was doing some stuff on social media because naturally, like a lot of people that are on The Bachelor, it opens up this whole world of getting paid to do stuff on social media. And then that stuff stopped happening because there's a lot of uncertainty with businesses and everything too. And then obviously a lot of like other external things just going on throughout the world. And I think there's a lot of stuff put onto me of like, you need to do certain things on social media, whatever. And I just kind of shut down, didn't post anything. And so just felt very lonely, I would say. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's probably the best way to sum it up.
And at the worst point of it all, how much did the loneliness affect you at its worst?
I mean, it affected me a lot. I just remember feeling very like anxious a lot of the time and almost like I need to do something, but at the same time just didn't know what to do, nor like could you really do anything. But yeah, I mean, it was just like hard to get out of bed, hard to get excited to really like just get after life.
For months.
Yeah.
And then something clicked. Tell us about that.
I think honestly, there was a certain point where, so my friend Mike, he lived in San Antonio. He was on the show with me. And I think my thought was, okay, if I am feeling this way, I need to like change something, right? I need to make a change of some sort. And was kind of like went back to earlier in my life when I wasn't happy with my job at Goldman. I tried to make a change there. Even before I quit, it was like, I need to move, need to meet new people, all this stuff. So it's like reverted back to that. And it was like, I need to make a change. And Mike lived in San Antonio. I was in Dallas. His lease was coming up soon. Mine was coming up soon. It was like, hey, what if we just meet in the middle and move to Austin? And for me, I was super excited about that because it's like a new place to go, can live with a friend who I know really well, who's kind of been in this whole social media world with me too.
And how'd you meet Mike initially?
So we were roommates on The Bachelor, actually.
Okay. So you met there.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we ended up moving here. And I feel like that gave me a little bit of a kickstart just to start kind of getting out more. Exploring a new place is always fun. Trying new things. And then I think in doing that, was able to meet a lot of really cool people. So I met Jenna, who's my girlfriend.
Where'd you meet her?
So we met through social media in a way, but the first few weeks of being here, we just went on a walk around the lake downtown. Actually, wow. Yeah. So we'd never met before, but just did a walk around the lake.
Okay.
But I think I was just in like moving to a new city. I was like, I need to kind of step out of my comfort zone and meet new people and try new things that I wouldn't normally do. And that was one of them. And obviously that led to us actually dating. And I think that's kind of the story of like a lot of other people I've met. But Mike, who started Waterboy with me, we met in...
Different Mike.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
We met in probably mid-December of that year. So it was 2020.
And where'd you meet? This is important. This is another pivotal moment here. You met Mike.
Well, so
December 2020.
Yeah. Even more pivotal. We met through a girl that both of us were kind of romantically interested in at the time. So it's funny how it worked out, but she actually connected the two of us because she knew that I had this gummy vitamin business. Mike had sold his, he had a business making apps for fitness influencers. And so she knew that we had both kind of done this whole startup world and he had this idea for a hydration drink. And so she connected the two of us and we met at Codependent downtown in Austin.
Yeah. And so you got connected through a mutual friend. And what did that initial conversation look like between you two? How'd that go?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think back on that one. It's always a little awkward, I guess, meeting someone for the first time and doing like the small talk thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was a little bit, but I think both of us were just super interested. I mean, we both love like business and startup stuff. And I think my love for like fitness and health and nutrition, I was just so interested in the idea.
Yeah.
So he had already had samples of the product, I think, and he was giving it to me. And
seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you've met him before, but being in a business setting with him, he's very on top of everything, you know?
Sharp.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick.
Yeah. So I'm very thankful to have him as a co-founder of the business because he's, like honestly couldn't ask for a better person to it. He always uses the word curious. He says it all the time.
Yeah.
But he is the most curious person just about everything that he does. He always has good questions on everything and is always trying to like learn more. And so I think that's a very good person to start a business with. But I think coming from the experience of, hey, I started this business before, it was very lonely and doing it by myself and was almost like looking to do something like this with somebody else. He came to me with this idea. I loved it. I knew his background a little bit. The girl who connected us had great things to say about him. And honestly, with no hesitation, was just like, yeah, dude, let's do it. So I think we left that conversation. Was like, yeah, we're going to go in on this together. Let's make it happen.
That is fascinating. Like Ted kind of saw something in you. Mike saw something to where he felt compelled to ask you of all people.
Yeah. I mean, I think he, I don't know if he saw something in me necessarily, maybe, but I think we both just left that conversation. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
we're both like excited about this, and we both just kind of like love the idea and have generally good experience doing it. And we're like, got along well,
Well, was he looking for a partner at the time?
He was, yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
And he vocalized that to you.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, having, because he was very good at a lot of business stuff. He's super creative and all that. But I think he was looking for someone that had a little bit more of a foot into the whole social media world, which I was fortunate to kind of get into that stuff. And then I think also coming from a business that had more of a health, like CPG focused product for it.
What's CPG?
Consumer packaged goods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
so you were the guy.
I was the guy.
And when you say social media stuff, it's like a following of some sort. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how to attract more things, is that right?
Yeah, because I mean, obviously you can make a good product and have a good business, but at the end of the day, you got to sell it, And so we probably spent 50% of the time talking about the product, developing it. The other 50%, which took about 3 months of planning, was just how are we going to market this? And we loved TikTok. That was the big thing. Jenna, my girlfriend, she does a lot of stuff on TikTok. She has turned it into a whole career. And
really?
Yeah.
And what's the genre?
So she used to work at TikTok, actually, out of college. She
here, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She her channel, I guess, started to grow because she made the first TikTok resume. So she applied for a job there. I think she never heard back, just on like a normal resume submission.
Yeah.
And then her thought process was, okay, if I'm applying for a job at TikTok, I should make a TikTok about it.
Yeah.
And so she made a video basically walking through her entire resume.
Smart.
Posted it.
Yeah.
Ended up going viral, actually.
Yeah.
And so it got picked up by like local news outlets and stuff.
Wow.
She ended up getting the job. So it's like a really cool story, but she had a lot of growth on her personal channels from that. And then she just kind of talks about like daily life, just like daily vlogging life stuff.
How do they find her? Let's get her more subscribers. How do people find her on there?
Yeah. Her name's Jenna Palek.
Jenna
Palek.
Palek.
At Jenna Palek.
Palek.
Lek. Yeah.
Okay. Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah. And then she started a podcast too.
What's it called?
It was like a year and a half ago. It's called Fun on Weekdays.
Yeah.
So it's basically why wait to the weekend to have fun.
Right.
That's
a great point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People need to be reminded of that.
Yeah. No, it's very true. Very true.
Like 2 days is not. We should treat ourselves every day.
Yeah. No.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Why would?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So you met. Jenna. She's got a lot of experience in the digital space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does she help y'all by chance with what you're doing?
So she does. She for sure does. So I think when we met, or I guess when Mike and I were starting Waterboy, it's like, okay, we want to market this on TikTok, and Jenna and I were friends, and this is like, let's ask Jenna. She works there, like who better to ask than someone that actually understands it. And so she definitely helped us a ton with it. And I think we've returned the favor in different ways, helping her with a lot of stuff. But we've been super lucky to have her help us with a lot of things. We actually just did a flavor collaboration with her, which I brought some for you, that we launched about
pink bag.
2 weeks ago, the pink bag. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Why is it pink?
That is her signature color.
And what's the flavor?
Fruit punch.
Slam dunk.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Thank you, Jenna, for participating there.
Yeah.
I bet it's delicious. Wow. Okay. So, there's something I didn't want to forget. Had to do with, oh shoot, man. Your marketing. Oh, TikTok. Right. TikTok. You would know. It's a Chinese company. So they say.
Yeah.
I'd say it's true.
Yeah.
But what, their headquarters is here?
I think the U.S. headquarters.
The
is
U.S.
here.
headquarters.
Yeah.
So, who's the boss?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Honestly, if I'm being honest about the whole social media thing,
Yeah.
and I think this is just another interesting like tidbit about me. My life goal, as like blessed as I am to have been thrown this whole social media platform and everything, like very thankful for it. It's brought me a lot of really good opportunities and definitely helped a ton just with what I've wanted to do in life. But my life goal in like less than 5 years, I'm gonna hit the delete button and just like disappear,
Yeah.
Because I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of times it has added a lot of good stuff to my life that I'm thankful for. But I feel like sometimes you're living this life for other people or for someone else. And just the amount of time that is wasted on a daily basis scrolling through this stuff versus actually opening your eyes and seeing what is around you is astonishing to me. And I just know life would be a lot happier if that is gone. So that is my personal life goal is, hopefully other things go well in my life to lead up to that point where I can feel confident in deleting it and never needing it again.
And let's say you said goal in life. It kind of reminded me. Let's say, for example, someone said, "Hey, Connor, I'm going to pay you $100 million next year to do whatever you want. However, whatever you want has to be, the one rule is that it is an occupation. It is an actual occupation." What is that? If you get paid to do anything, wake up tomorrow, boom, $100 million, crushing it. What is that?
I think I would train all out for a year, try and make it to the Olympics in swimming.
So, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that?
I just think, I love competition. So when I went to college, or when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm never swimming again. I was like, good, but this is just so much work. I had no social life, all of that. And then I got to college and just had this itch. I was like, man, I just want to like compete in something, just need to like win. So I joined the swim team again. They let me walk on and did it for a year and a half. And then I think even now it's hard sometimes to translate that competition to business stuff or elsewhere. I think sometimes I'm like really good at it and get super competitive. But at the end of the day, there's like nothing better than competing in some sort of sporting event. And, I love winning.
Yeah.
So to me, that would just be the coolest thing. Just train specifically for one event, go all out with it. And if you're making $100 million too, you can invest a lot of money into like recovery and nutrition, put all those pieces in place to where you just have to focus on winning. And
like Phelps' training regimen.
Yeah.
Where he's testing himself for his what's that level, that acidic level from his ear. And then he's doing warm down laps and then a strict 30-minute warm down routine every time.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's intense.
Yeah.
It's a full time, all the time.
Right.
Thing.
Because I will say, as much as I want to like delete social media and go live kind of this life that's more for myself, I do love competition and accomplishing feats that people view as like impossible in a way. Can someone train for the Olympics in a year and actually make the team and win? Like on paper, that makes no sense, but it's one of those things like, I think it can happen. Honestly, I think someone could do that.
Yeah.
And then earlier in life, it was in that period after I was on the show where I was super motivated. I listened to a David Goggins. I read his book and that thing just absolutely fired me up. And so the day I finished the book, the Dallas Marathon was a week later. I was like, fuck it.
Perfect.
I signed up for it.
Yeah.
I was like, I have not run more than 2 miles in the last 3 years. No. Signed up for the full 26.2 and just did it.
What?
It sucked.
Sucked.
But just like the mental, like I love those mental challenges. I mean, that stuff like keeps me going sometimes. So it's things like that. And one of them is like, how cool would that be to just drop everything and train hardcore for a year and a half, qualify for the Olympic trials, make the team, win a gold medal. I mean, that is insane, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what, you know, I'm getting like goosebumps thinking about that. One of those, something like that would be like super cool to do.
Sounds like you like the challenge and the adventure.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the challenge. I think sometimes if there's a clear goal at the end that you can almost set your eyes on. So it's like, okay. But well, for the marathon, for example, I don't know if you've ever done a marathon.
Half.
Got you. But at the beginning, there's so much excitement. And I remember, so I've done this 2 times now, actually, where I haven't trained for it and I've done the full marathon. First time I did it, I remember being at the start line and I had somehow worked my way up to the front where like the legit runners are. Yeah. So I was in this first group and they were singing the national anthem. And I remember looking around, it's like, I'm going to win this thing. You know, it was just like so out of my mind. And it's like, I'm going to be on the news tomorrow. Like this 20-something-year-old kid comes out of nowhere and wins the Dallas Marathon. And so they shoot the gun off or whatever to start it. I go out gunning it. So I was winning the marathon the first half mile, probably like absolute all out sprint. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to hold this the whole time. And then I hit mile.
That's awesome, dude.
I hit mile 2.
Yeah.
And was just looking around. These guys are like just striding along, like they're on a little stroll, and I'm just absolutely gassed.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I gotta like dial it back a little bit. Let's like reset this goal.
Dang.
But
dude,
I think it's nice having a set goal in mind that you can almost like fixate on and just work towards it. And so even though I got fired up and was like, I'm gonna win it, at the end of the day, I just wanted to finish the marathon. And that was the goal, you know?
Yeah.
But even nowadays, I find myself, I love tasks or doing things where there's a start and a finish to it. A lot of times I struggle more with the things that are like long-term planning type stuff, you know? But,
such as?
I don't know. I mean, even for Waterboy, like we don't plan more than like a month out for everything, which has like caused some issues with having stuff in stock and things like that. But one thing I love doing, and this is not maybe a task I should be doing on a daily basis, but I love shipping orders. So we have a fulfillment center. We have 2 fulfillment centers in different cities, but sometimes we ship orders from the office. I love doing it because it's like, hey, there's 20 orders that need to go out today. Package them, fold them, put the shipping label on it. Good to go. Task done, you know? So I love stuff like that. That's like, I can mark this off the list and like move on. It makes you feel accomplished. But then there's other things that are like multi-day, multi-month, week projects.
Trudging through the muck.
I think I struggle a little bit more with. But I think if there's things that are like, I can set my eyes on this and I might not be able to see the finish, but I can sense it, you know?
It's more of a direction.
Yeah.
Instead of reaching a goal, it's just going in that upward, forward direction the whole time.
Right.
Till who knows when.
Right.
And what would Gary Vaynerchuk say to you?
I have no idea. You tell me.
No, he always preaches patience.
Gotcha.
He's like, we just need to be more patient. Like every other video, he says that word.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
What?
Patience.
I think it's relevant in certain aspects. It's at the same time you're supposed to move with a purpose. Yeah. Don't wait for if you give yourself a week to do something, you're going to take a week to do it.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's no good.
Yeah.
Do less or do more and less. Yeah.
I think there's a balance. I think sometimes people are too patient because to the point of being almost like complacent. So I like that. I like being patient. I think a lot of times, even with stuff like fitness, you know, I feel like fitness is sometimes the best example I have about talking about a lot of stuff. Because there's like, you know, you can see the results from doing stuff and the work you're putting into it. But it does take patience to achieve those results, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I watched this one video. This guy said, like, you're not. He's like, people won't be able to really tell that you've been working out until it could take a year of working out.
Right.
Like, you're gonna look in the mirror and one day it's just gonna be there, but you're not gonna know when.
Right.
That's a long time. Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I gotta ask,
Let's hear it.
where can people find you on the weekends? What are you doing these days?
Oh boy, on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. So the business that we own is for hangovers mostly. We have a sports product.
That's true.
But I really don't drink that much. So it's funny that that's the product. But honestly, I feel like recently I've been traveling a lot and like just doing cool, different, unique stuff around town. I don't really love going out. I'm more of a type of guy like I'd love to go to bed at like 10 p.m. and wake up early, go work out and just get after the day.
Yeah.
That's when I know I'm happiest and like doing my best. But been traveling a lot, seeing family. Just love doing like outdoorsy stuff and things like that. And then just moved to a house 3 months ago, so it's a work in progress.
And you're living with a dog.
Got a dog too.
So you got a yard.
Have a yard. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to mow it?
I did get a mower. I did.
Is it your first mower?
It is.
Congrats.
I was appreciate that. I went into Home Depot. It was like, I don't need a full giant mower right now. It's not that big of a yard. And I was like, maybe I'll get like one of these electric mowers. It's like, I don't know, maybe it'll do the job.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, I thought it was like a battery you charge. It's got like a whole extension cord. So I got to plug it in while I use it.
Oh, dude,
they almost
tricked you, dude.
Yeah, it's almost like a disgrace using it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's happened.
Yeah.
I think that same thing has happened to me before. I ordered an electric one off of Amazon.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was a battery.
Yeah.
No, the battery ones are like 4 times as much.
Interesting.
Yeah, dude.
Huh.
They're no joke. They're like $500.
Yeah, interesting. I think in theory it'd be nice if it was a battery one, but
yeah.
So it's almost like a little sad.
And you can't, if you run over your power cord.
Yeah, dude, it's not. And then you pull it too far, the cord comes out, you got to restart it.
It's a bad day.
It is. It's not very enjoyable. But,
especially if you're at the other end of the lawn. Then you got a 50-foot power cord. You got to walk 50 feet to go plug it back in.
Yeah. It's tough.
Whack.
Yeah.
Whack.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
So, and then, like, let's say, that's funny. All right, restaurants. Where are you going to eat? Where are you taking out the lady for lunch?
Oh, I've recently gone to 1618 a few times. I don't know if you've been there.
No.
It's like an Asian fusion spot. I can't say I'm usually like an Asian fusion food guy, but it's really good.
Sounds like an East Side kind of restaurant.
It is.
Close
right
to
off
your house.
Right off Riverside.
Oh.
Yeah.
1618.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember what kind of dish you get there?
The filet mignon pho. I think it's pronounced pho. Pho, yeah. It's good stuff.
Dude.
It's good stuff.
Wow.
I honestly, though, I'm usually cooking.
Yeah.
Whipping up some steaks.
Yeah.
Big steak guy.
You got a grill?
No, I just...
Oh, on the skillet?
Yeah.
You do that whole butter thing?
No, you slice them up.
Yeah.
Put them in little like cubes. And then just put that on the skillet. It's good. I like it when the outside's a little crispy.
Yeah.
So that I feel like
Nice
I've
crunch.
never been able to do it on the grill, but on the skillet, it's
With the butter.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I don't think I've ever had steak like that before. Where'd you learn that? Did you create it yourself?
Yeah, it's a self-made.
Well, that's the case. I'm glad you said that. So you've got to give it a name then.
Boof.
Boof?
No.
Yeah.
or boof.
Yeah. Well,
I kind of like that, actually.
Yeah, boof steak.
No, we'll go with, I think that's the Saeli special.
Saeli
I think
special.
that's taking the name the Saeli special, yeah.
Okay. So you're a steak guy. You're going
Steiner Ranch Steakhouse. You been out there?
One time.
That's a good spot.
Yeah.
That's a good spot.
It is. Nice view over there.
Yeah. Good steaks too.
So let me ask you this. I asked this to all of our guests here. Let's say it's 100 years from now, and somebody in your family, maybe a kid or great grandkid or somebody, listens to this, what kind of message do you want to leave to those people?
Hmm. Yeah, I think the main thing is, and just like looking at my life, it's less of how much money you make or how many Instagram followers you have or what you do. And it's more so how many lives can I impact in a truly like impactful way, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of a culmination of like what I view as myself being successful. And, whenever I'm on my deathbed and however many years, it's like that's how I'll look back and be like, okay, I'm like very content and happy with what I did during my life. And I think even part of that is
Mm.
if I were to train for the Olympics for a year, you know how many people that would inspire hearing that story and like doing something like that. There's things like that. But then also, I love doing it on a more personal level
Mhm.
where I can actually feel and see the impact on a person's life. So I love working out with people and
Mm.
doing that. People that maybe like don't work out a lot just
Yeah.
because it like motivates me, especially like helping someone. But and my ideal like life is buying a bunch of land somewhere, essentially building like a wellness resort that friends and family can come to, but also can invite people that just want to make like a change in their life and almost like reset and have nutritionists, trainers, all these like really smart people in their industries out there
Mm.
to help everyone that wants, to make a change. And ideally would love to make it just free for people to like apply to it and you get selected to be in it.
Mm.
Um, that's obviously dependent on like where I'm at in my life, but
Mhm.
I think that would be really cool to do something and develop like a really cool community of people that just want to, help other people.
Mm.
But yeah, I think ultimately it's just like it's less about all this flashy stuff and what you're doing on social media and portraying it to everyone else. And it's more about, do you feel content and happy with what you've done in your life? And can you measure that with people's lives you've impacted outside of your own?
Mm. And how do you know you're successful at doing that?
Yeah, it's hard because that's one of those things. It's like can't really measure it. But at the end of the day, if I can look at one person
Yeah.
and know that their life would have been different if I had not been around,
Mhm.
then I'm content with that. You know.
Yeah. Mm. Well, that's an empowering statement,
Hmm.
and not many people have clarity on that.
Yeah, and I will say I'm 28. I don't have the most clarity in my life. So every day is learning something new. But I think it always comes back to the stuff that makes me the happiest is being able to truly like make other people happy
Mhm.
and make them help them get on a better trajectory in their life.
Yeah.
And I think that's always kind of been the case. And I think for most people, when it comes down to it, that's kind of what it is at heart a little bit. Everyone has a different way of like ending up there and a different way of impacting people.
Yeah.
Some people, for example, my girlfriend, social media might be that route to make a huge change on everyone's life and empower and impact people in a lot of different ways. For me, I just don't view it that way. So I think for me, I'm a lot better doing it on a more personal level. And instead of
Mhm.
saying things, I'm better at doing things
Mhm.
and almost like motivating people that way.
Yeah.
So I was always the captain of sports teams growing up, and I was less of a vocal leader and more of the leader by example.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how I view my life is just like what are cool, crazy things that I can do in my life, whether it's building a wellness resort and inviting all these people out to it and changing people that way or qualifying for the Olympics in a year, just stuff like that, just like literally whatever crazy things.
Yeah.
What are things like that I can do that people are going to look and be like, wow, I want to do that. Or like, I don't want to do what I'm doing now. I want to like do something cool like that.
Mm. And Would
And
you say?
I would say too, it's not about just doing something cool. I don't want to say that. Like,
no, I get what you're saying.
Like climbing a mountain, but just like
the reason behind doing it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we're only here on this planet for however many years.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I make the most of it? And how do I make life better for someone else? And like actually enjoy the planet that we're on too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you're not having fun, what's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah. You have fun?
I do.
Yeah, right.
I do. I feel like my fun is probably different than other people's who are my age. But
you read?
I need to start getting back into reading.
Connor.
I know.
Come on, average CEO reads 52 books. Let's go.
I know. I got the Audible. I'm not the CEO.
All right.
We'll say co-CEOs, Mike. Yeah, but I got a lot of Audible credits stacked up. So I've had Audible for about 2 years. I don't think I've used it once. I probably have like 24 credits on there.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of catching up to do. Yeah.
Exactly, 24 credits.
Yeah.
Especially if you got it for Christmas 2 years ago. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got any good book recommendations?
Man, I got like 172 in my library right now.
on Audible?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I read a lot. Yeah.
What's your
book a week?
Top book?
Pound the Stone is one of my favorite books of all time.
Okay.
Yeah. It's about this kid that was like door knocking and he was getting his teeth kicked in, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
And he went from doing no sales at all and having no discipline towards being a great success.
Interesting.
And the whole premise is that the tortoise always wins the race.
Yeah.
Time over task over time.
For sure.
Yeah, just keep pounding the stone and eventually it's going to break.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And there's a good story too, though. You don't want to stop listening.
Right. Right.
Now,
that's a good one.
Let's bring it back real quick here because why not? And it's also super exciting. Waterboy. How do people get it?
Yeah, you just go to waterboy.com, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, Amazon too.
And Amazon.
Amazon, yep.
Are those the two places? The only two places?
Only two places right now. Yeah.
Now, is that strategic?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
It is.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So I think to add a little bit of context to it, a lot of brands jump into retail a little too quickly, in Mike and I's opinion. And that I think it's cool to be in retail, but if you don't develop a brand first, it's hard to actually succeed in there to where people are seeking out your product in a store. So our thought is, okay, because you only get one chance to go into retail, right? Because if you don't sell well, it's going to be a lot harder to get them to want to give you another chance to get back in there. So our thought is, let's develop a really, really good brand online on our website, Amazon, prove that concept out, prove that we have a good community behind the brand, that people are looking for us, they want us, and then kind of strategically launch into retail with ideally like a big name store. And then hopefully that does well. And you can do that exclusively for a few months to 6 months, a year. And then I think, assuming that does well, kind of it just starts rolling in, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Rolling in sounds nice.
Yeah.
And if there's somebody out there that you would like to meet and have coffee with and pick their brain, who is that person that you have not met before?
Ooh, that is a good question. I think there's two sides of the coin here. From a business standpoint, and personality standpoint too. It'd be cool to meet Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
I've been close to him before. I was actually within like me in the door of him. Whoa. I was trying to give him Waterboy. Actually, I was like, "This is my opportunity," you know.
Yeah, hey, thirsty.
Yeah. He was having himself a night, so I figured he might use it in the morning, actually. But
was that at South by?
It was, yeah,
like 2 years ago. Or no, actually, no, a couple years ago.
It was this past year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was at a TikTok party. Funny enough.
Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah. It was, all came full circle there.
Yeah. Dallas connection. TikTok.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool to talk to him. Just obviously, he has a lot of good business experience. The TV show aspect. He does a lot of stuff on like social media and those things. And he might not have a ton of experience in like the space we're in, but I think he would be a really good person to connect with and just pick his brain on stuff. I also just love like fitness people, like motivational people. I think David Goggins would be a really interesting person to sit down with and almost be like, hey, with Jesse Itzler,
Yeah.
when he had him come live with him for a month, I would love to just do that. Be like, hey, dude, just come live with me for a month. Just like imagine like what life would be like after that. You know?
Oh,
yeah.
Your perspective has changed forever. There's no going back.
Totally. That would be like me having that trainer times like 100,
Yeah, anytime you think about complaining, you stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. David Goggins, if you're out there, we got another contestant.
Yeah.
You got a free place to stay.
Yeah.
Not that you need it, but
I
for a whole month.
I don't know if you've listened to that Jesse Itzler book, but it's just funny thinking about things that happen in there and being like, what if he made me do that? I wonder what my girlfriend would say, stuff like that. She'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
She'd look at you like crazy.
Yeah.
Because that stuff, a lot of people think he's crazy for doing it.
Yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, some of it might be a little crazy and like not good for your body. But I think the message is good.
Yeah. David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, Navy SEAL, went to Hell Week 3 times or 2.5 times or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've seen him in real life.
Really?
Yeah, on the Navy base.
Oh, okay.
In San Diego.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Just walking around doing this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how do people find you?
Find me. Most of my life is on Waterboy now, but I do a little bit of stuff on TikTok, just at Connor Saeli.
Yeah.
And the Instagram is Con Sail Away.
Come sail away.
Yeah.
Come sail away with me.
Come sail away. Come sail away with me.
Yeah. And I'm sure, gosh, David Goggins would love that Saeli steak. Man. Like if he lived with you, you could cook that up every night.
Man,
the Saeli special.
Yeah, we'd whip that up. I just love it's like the way he lives life. He just essentially carries a backpack, probably wears the same clothes every day. I mean, what Jesse was saying when he showed up, he literally just had like he didn't bring anything with him,
Yeah.
He just had like the same outfit. And I just love that because it's like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what all these things that you have in life and stuff like that. It's just like, how do you feel? Like, what do you want to do? It's more internal than external stuff. And
I think the more clarity you have on that, to your point, the happier you're going to be.
For sure. Because
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, I showed up here today. I mean, the shorts are a little short. I'll be honest. But I just like worked out this morning and went into work right after. And like, I love that about Waterboys. I don't have to dress up and wear whatever I want.
Yeah.
Which I guess is the nice thing about owning the company.
Yeah.
Like but I just remember going into Goldman every day and having to dress up and all this stuff. And I just so hated it. And I towed the line too. I wore a Henley into work one day. And that was just like not okay to my boss. And he made so many passive aggressive comments to me about it. But I don't know. Cause I get it. It's like, if you look good, feel good, like work well, all that stuff. But I think everyone operates a little bit differently. There's obviously a certain standard of, not going to walk into work in like a full sweat, smelly, all of that stuff. But
or that Borat costume, that bikini he wore, that bright
green one. That's a better example. Where I'm not going to walk into work like naked or but
we're close to it.
Yeah. But I think as long as you like feel good, it doesn't really matter what you wear. You're
gonna get the job done.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're gonna be comfortable.
For sure.
Folks, Connor Saeli with Waterboy.
Yes,
Holy
sir.
smokes, what a incredible story. A fun story as well.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to see whatever it is you do next.
Yeah.
Only a matter of time before this takes off, even more than it has.
Right.
Because every time I pop open the social media, bam, there it is. So, man, thank you again for coming on the Pivotal Moments podcast. And we'll stay in touch and track your journey.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man.
Yep.
Let's kick some butt, shall we?
Let's do it.
Till next time, Austin. Cheers.